I have been absolutely loving having a milling machine in my shop. I'm already using it for so much more. I'm just finding something new to do with it each and every day. It's fixing all these little problems that I wasn't able to get past before, or that would have taken too much time. I also purchased a tap and die set, and in combination with the mill, man, I can just build whatever I want. A lathe will probably come in the future, but it's just such a good system. About the best thing I've added to my shop since about a year ago, when I invested in a good welding system from Lincoln Electric. Here today, I want to build an addition to this mill that will just make it a little more effective. You see, milling machines use beautiful cutters like this that are able to both plunge cut and cut sideways. That's a beautiful thing. That sideways or horizontal cutting, that's what makes it so beautiful. The way that we can plunge into this material like this and cut this notch, right? We can chunk in there, do that horizontal cut. Notice we have a whole bunch of those types of cuts on this one piece here. And this would be a pretty difficult piece to make without a mill. You'd have to do a lot of handwork, and it'd just take a lot of time to get that kind of tolerance. Now, anytime you have a piece of material spinning fast, coming against another material, especially hard materials like different types of steels, obviously you have a lot of friction and a lot of heat generated. So you want to minimize the friction, minimize the heat, and you can do that in a couple different ways, either with cutting oils that help ease the friction there, or cutting fluids that help ease the friction, but also flood the area with a cold fluid. So cools the actual surface being cut and the tooling. Now in general, there are two ways to cool: flood cooling and mist cooling. Mist cooling, and this is a mist cooler type of system. It runs using compressed air and fluid. So this hose will go down in a very viscous fluid. The compressed air will create a vacuum. There are different ways to accomplish this, but you'll get a mix of air and cooling fluid here that will blow out into a mist format. And it's really nice and effective, but it's really messy because of course you have compressed air, you have mist, so you have this cutting fluid that becomes airized. I always get that word wrong. What is that? Is it airized? It becomes airborne, and you're breathing it in. So when you don't have an enclosure and when you don't have top-notch ventilation, you don't want to always be breathing in that cutting fluid mist. Now, like I said, this is a mist cooler, and it would attach somewhere like here, and you can aim this at your bit. But like I said, I don't want that mist. I want flood. But flood cooling usually involves pumps, and it becomes an elaborate system that's fairly expensive. I don't want coolant. I want oil, and I'm there with my little squeeze bottle or my little pumper bottle here, and it just takes an extra hand that I don't want to have. I'm converting this into a gravity feed oiler system that will just bleed oil with a valve onto my cutter head. But I want this line to go from a reservoir. Now I've already attached this fitting. This is an old fitting I had that was threaded. So I actually chucked this fitting here in a collet. And then I clamped a cutting head from my face cutters in my vise, and I used my mill like a lathe. I spun the part here, and like I said, I had a cutter in my vise. I just ran the quill down, and I milled this down to a size that could fit in the hose. Now here is what I want to use for a reservoir. Piece of 1x3, long and lean. I think it'll look cool. We'll clean it up. We've got to weld in a bottom. And we're also going to weld in, I'm going to cut this fitting. This is actually a steel fitting. It's not brass, but I want this threaded portion only, so I'll cut this the nipple off here. Then we'll be able to thread, we'll weld that on like a bung. So this will be protruding through the bottom. Then we'll be able to screw this fitting right onto our reservoir. It'll just be a gravity feed with a valve. We've got to put a little inline valve there somewhere as well. excited. Anytime we get to fire up the welder for a nice little project. Here's our cap. Sit right on there. Oh, I'm getting too old for that. This will weld on there just like that. We're going to be TIG welding this tonight. Gotta bring out the TIG welding. Try to work a little bit of finesse on a project like this. Every bit of practice we can get on TIG, we'll take it. Using the Lincoln Electric 140 multi-process here. Just phenomenal welder. It does MIG and flux core and stick as well as TIG. And it's just a really nice unit. Oh yeah, off to a nice start. Of course I understand that this is trash for some of you, but I am real happy with this. Got a nice clean, no bubble gum or nothing around the fitting there. Seamless, no pinholes around the sides there, that corner. Now we're rolling. Got a little bit of meat to work with there. Nice, just put this bracket on here to help mount it on the wall. Come check out these welds.
Yeah.
What?
He probably let you come in.
No, he didn't. I haven't seen him.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, sis. What you doing, cutie?
Playing with the wars.
I see.
That is a bumble.
Now, as long as the fluid level is higher than the release point, I always have oil. So as long as I have my oil spout higher in the highest position of the head, Let's check the feed here now. Wide open. It's going to take a little while for it that thick oil to get through. Oh, there we are. So we kind of need it to be on the leading edge of the cutter for the speed that it's coming out. Let's see, we're over here on the leading edge. I think that'll be great bleeding out on the part there. Now the way we've designed it, and because our valve is so strong and tight up there, use a nice big valve, because it pinches off that, it's so strong against the vacuum, even when we hook up an air line that would normally pull a vacuum and draw all your fluid, that stops it. So we can hook up an air line and still have air pretty much independent of oil. Even though oil is right to the end of this line in a separate line, we are getting nothing. You could wear a white shirt here, you wouldn't have nothing. So for when we're milling like Teflon or brass or aluminum, where we just want air to remove the chips or to cool the bit, we can do that. Very nice. And of course, if you ever want to run coolant, you just have to drain and fill our new reservoir up there with coolant. Let's try it with oil, just see what happens. Let me just break the seal a little bit. There we have blowing oil. Very, very fine mist. And there we're spitting. I'm not even sure it's becoming aerated there. It's just spitting out liquid. I wouldn't use this for brass, but for tougher steel, certainly. It works for oil and air independent there now without converting anything over. Just lovely. And for the oil, it does just a drip oil with that valve we have installed. Just a constant drip oiler. Absolutely perfect. I really like it. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if it's your first time here. And I really hope to see you in the next video.